there everybody, it's me, Kenny K, with another review, a re-review because I did the Jaws review from 1975, but not with the best audio, so this one should be better. Directed by Steven Spielberg, written by Peter Benchley. You've got Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, Lorraine Gary, Murray Hamilton, Robert Shaw being Quint, the Shark Hunter, Roy Scheider being Chief Brody, Richard Dreyfuss being Hooper, the ichthyologist, which is basically the term for a shark expert, and then Murray Hamilton as the mayor, Larry Vaughn, the one who wants the beaches open. Now, originally, that entire beaches open thing was, so Peter Benchley wrote a book, and I wrote that, and normally I won't read books, but that book I read because it's one of my favorite all-time monster movies in a way. I mean, it's a real creature. It made people afraid to go into the water. It's basically based on two stories. A story about a giant great white shark caught, a 20-foot great white shark caught on Rhode Island, and Steven Spielberg and Peter Benchley thinking what would happen if that would get on a beach community and just won't get away, and on real events that happened in 1960, around 1916, I guess, when five people in the same week were killed and eaten by sharks. Now, different sharks, a great white, bull shark, different sharks, really warm summer, and they basically got attacked multiple times. Now, that's where Peter Benchley got his inspiration from. The size of the shark is, back then, it's 25 feet, Jaws himself. The orca, the boat of Quint, is 52 feet, so that's half the size at least. And that's the reason why Roy Scheider says, we're gonna need a bigger fucking boat, right? Because the shark is half its size. But this they can't get that big. They can. We have a shark now that's called Deep Blue, a miracle, a wonder of nature. There is this diver who dives with her without a cage, hangs on her fins, takes pictures when its jaws are open. It's a female, it's pregnant, and it's over 20 feet. So the Jaws shark is 25, so it's between 20 and 25 feet long. So they probably can get to 25 feet long, but that's the max. We're not megalodons, like movie The Meg. First of all, great white sharks aren't dangerous. I've put a clip in here that if you've seen the movie starts out with Christine Watkins and a boy that want to have sex, but she goes in the water nude, and she's wants him to go and get in the water, but he's drunk and passes out. She gets attacked in a violent way where she's basically being ripped apart underneath the water. The shark wasn't working. That wasn't their advantage because that made it more scary, because the truth of the matter was that the shark would come out of the water, pick up Christy like this, and jump back in the water. That would be a cool whoa scene, but we would have seen the shark, right? We would have seen what it is. And that theme song, dum 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 dum, made the shark alive, because they shot in where I went to Martha's Vineyard to see all the sets, and it didn't change a bit since 1975. Main Street, Chief Brody's police office, the town hall, the South Beach where the kitnerboy dies, and Cricket, the dog, Tippet, the dog, and the beach where Christine Watkins dies. Apparently, divers were pulling on her. I mean, she didn't have a real signal if she was in real pain. And the reason why they took Martha's Vineyard is because Martha's Vineyard, and that's one of the first movies, and I think the only movie that really shot on open water in the Atlantic, the cold Atlantic, because it was spring there, it was cold as hell. They had to put ice cubes in their mouth. And the thing is, Martha's Vineyard has a pretty long stretch of sandy bottom, only 30 feet underneath the water. So they could operate the mechanical shark there, right? And that's nowhere near. And they all opted to go to Florida because it's more docile water there, but no, they wanted that murky water of the Atlantic because it's scarier. What we see like this, we see the water level like this, but we don't see what's underneath. And what underneath is the creepy thing that is, you know, creeping up on you, and it's gonna rip you apart. Now, I told about that Christine Watkins kill. There is a boy, a Russian boy, may he rest in peace, really sad, but I wanted to say that you see this, how dangerous sharks can be. And this wasn't this shark was caught in the movie by the bunch of fishermen after the kitnerboy dies, and they had a $3,000 bounty to catch the shark. Now, that was a tiger shark, and that clip I'm gonna let you see if you never seen it, was a tiger shark, 20 foot long. The way he killed that boy, ripped him left to right, was almost exactly like Christine Watkins. He got sent. I never seen such an aggressive attack from a shark ever. They caught the shark. They saw the entrails of it. It was a I mean, so be advised if you see that clip. It's pretty horrifying. Pretty horrifying. The guy gets left, right, down under, back under, toppled, back under, and then at some point stays under. They never found him. He was completely devoured. And it was yelling, "Papa, Papa, help me." And the dad was too scared. He couldn't go in the water because he would have get attacked too. One shark, tiger shark. Tiger sharks and bull sharks. Bull sharks, also called the Zambezi shark, is a shark that can survive in fresh water and salt water. The Zambezi River in Africa, like a lot of African women and men clean their clothes in the river, they get attacked by these sharks and their legs get bitten off. 1916, the 5 people died. A bull shark was also in a river estuary kind of thing, and it killed a kid. These sharks are called sharks on steroids because they're so aggressive. So great white sharks aren't that aggressive, actually. They just give you a bump or maybe a bite, but let loose because they want seals, fatty seals, right? And that's not us. They do think that we look like seals with our flippers, and swimsuits or on a board or something, but it's usually a misunderstanding. I also got of course, the shark claimed the beaches of Martha's Vineyard and beaches of Amity, Amity, because it's called Amity, and it's not gonna go away until you cut off its food supply. Now, of course, the mayor doesn't want to close the beach. Now, in the book, the mayor is under pressure for 2 reasons. One reason is in the movie, they need those summer dollars to stay open because they'll be on welfare the entire winter. And 2, in the book, mobsters were involved and had property there, and if they closed the beach, they would lose money and would kill Murray Hamilton probably. So luckily they didn't. There were a few things they luckily put out of the book. One is that thing. The other one was that Shadow was a little bit of a wimpy guy or a klutz. Quint was thin, really not broad and strong, but he had a big mouth. And then Hooper was this, you know, rich douchebag who apparently Ellen Brody knew when he went. Ellen came from a rich family from the Hamptons, and they had fucking an affair with each other. They fucked each other's brains out in a motel in Amity. So this is, and Hooper dies in that book. The shark takes him out of the cage, like in the movie. He goes in the cage, and then he comes out of the water. Hooper in his jaws. Brody shoots the shark, but hits Hooper in the neck accidentally. Quinn takes the gun, shoots it in the snout of the shark, and goes under. Now, in the original script, Hooper was supposed to die too. Ripped out of the cage. We don't see anything yet, but he's dead. Now, apparently, what happened is that they shot the cage scene in Australia with two shark experts, Ron and Valerie Taylor, and Rodney Fox, who actually was a spear fisherman and was attacked by a great white because of the blood of the fish, and he has this entire wound, like a bite that was like here, and he pushed in the eyes, and the shark, he lost him, and he swam away, and he survived luckily, and he had a vendetta after that. That was during the time of Jaws, and he started to kill great whites. Now he's preserving great whites. He's trying to help these beautiful animals because he thought these animals are the devil because they attacked me, and Jaws came out. No, and that's Spielberg's regret. He always said, I didn't want to put the shark, the great white, in that kind of daylight. But the fact that people didn't dare to go swimming, even in their bathtubs, put a sponge hit them and they were scared, that's how perfectly that movie was made. The perfect cast, the perfect, monster, the perfect soundtrack, the perfect location. Now, what I said about that cage, they used a mini cage. They used real sharks, but they were only like 15 feet max. They used a small person, a dwarf, a small. They put him in the cage, and he was so scared. He no, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. And eventually, the cage was still in the water, and a shark gets his snout stuck in the rope of the cage, and it starts to completely go crazy. And you get that scene in the movie when the shark is like completely destroying the cage. Well, that was a real shark that was going crazy, but nobody was in the cage. And that's the reason why Hooper stayed alive. They made it like Hooper swam out of the cage and the shark just destroyed the cage. And in reality, the real shark that was stuck in the cage swam to, it swam to the bottom and eventually got loose. So the animal didn't get hurt, nobody get hurt, but it was a really, and the dwarf guy never wanted to go in the water after that scene. I said, no fucking way. You make something around that and make Hooper alive or whatever. So that's why Hooper stayed alive. And it's a good thing because Richard Dreyfuss was one of the more liked people in the movie. He was the only one who sympathized with Roy Scheider to close the beaches, hunt the shark, but he was the one, I love that when he tried to explain to Mayor Vaughn and that he found a shark tooth the size of a shot glass in the wreckage of a boat, and he said it's a big one. It's gonna keep killing and the shark it just swims, make little sharks and eats, and it's gonna keep feeding people here if you do not do something about it. So you can cut off its food supply or you can kill it. And then Vaughn completely ignoring him, looking at the sign, the Amity sign, welcome to Amity. Somebody painted a picture there and said, oh shark, and then with a shark fin. Brody, that's vandalism. You have to catch those kids and hang them under hash browns or something that he said. I'm not sure what he meant with that, but and then he says, I'm done. I'm not gonna argue with this guy. And then normally he was supposed to get out of the movie, but he stayed because of the fact that okay, he went to normally he went to a shark expedition 6 months on sea with a boat called the Aurora from Australia, but he stayed there because of the shark. He held them. And then we get the colorful character Quint, and I mean Robert Shaw and Richard Dreyfuss. They did not get along, so the animosity they have in the movie is real. They really didn't get along. There is even a moment in the movie they almost fist fight because there's a moment when Dreyfuss has enough and just takes a glass of drink, water and just pours it on his head, and because Robert Shaw was constantly drinking shots of brandy and whiskey, and he was so drunk at some point that he couldn't make that cool speech of Indianapolis, and he came to Spielberg the next day and he said how of a big a fool did I make myself. He said damage control can be done, and then the day after he pulled it out of the park. He made that cool speech out the real story about Indianapolis, the boat that sank, that delivered the Hiroshima bomb. Real story. People that the vets that survived and saw the movie, they started crying. Really, really sad scene. Apparently 311 men in the water, 300 survived, all attacked by sharks. Fucked up scene. Fucked up scene. And I don't wanna you enjoy this boy's death scene from the shark attack, but I do wanna warn you to leave these creatures alone. We have our planet, our dry land. They are the masters of the sea. It's plain and simple. It's a completely different world. But again, I put the link in the description. I also put the movie link in the description so you can watch the movie. It's a great movie. There is also an alternative scene of the Estuary guy, the guy in the rowboat. He tries to help Sean and his friends in that little dinghy they have, that little, sailboat. He gets killed. You see the shark from the first time from the side and eating his, and he's screaming like the leg is ripped off and falls on the bed, the ground of the water, the slip of the water, the bed slip of the water, the ground. The initial scene was that he would be bitten, he would be in the shark's mouth, and he would be puking up blood, and the shark would go after Sean. I think Sean Brody, that was Sean. He had two kids. I think he had Sean Brody, and he wanted to kill him too. But the guy, with all of his forces left, picked up Brody. He was crying, or his kid was crying. I mean, that was a horrible scene. And he just threw him away, and then he went under. And apparently they cut out the scene because Spielberg thought it was too nasty. And then I think, okay, that's nasty. But the guy ripped apart, his quints, gets bitten in half. You hear him the croak, and you see the shark, ripping him, and from left to right. You hear the cracking sound that he basically cracked through his body. He pukes up blood. The kitnerboy. Like I said, the guy who gets ripped apart and his leg falls on the bottom of the estuary. I never understand that this movie could have a PG rating. I never understand. I never. But it's a great movie, a perfect movie, great cast, great effect of the creature. Also, even if it's an animatronic, and there's this cool thing that Spielberg never stays for the last shot because the movie was over budget, over so many days, and he knew that they were at the end they were gonna throw him in the water. Now he said to Joe Alves, his production designer, "You shoot the last scene with the shark, the tank exploding." He had an argument with Peter Benchley. Peter Benchley said that just can't happen. But in the book, the shark dies really anticlimactic. He has the barrels in him, and Quinn dies like Moby Dick. Ahab dies when he's harpooning the shark. Shark goes away, but he gets tangled in a rope, and he's crawled behind him. He basically drowns, gets bitten in the process. And when the shark comes to Brody, he's the only survivor left. Of course, Hooper dies too. The shark stops and sinks to the bottom, basically drowning because he can't hold the barrels and Quinn's body. And he sees with a goggle in the water, and he sees the shark drowning with the lifeless Quinn body, and that he wanted more of a yes, kill it, boom, super climactic. Okay, and he did that, and that worked. That would be a better way to go, and he wasn't there to film that because he was already on a plane back to California, and Richard Dreyfuss was sitting there, and but apparently they wanted for Robert Shaw. They had Lee Ermey. They had multiple different actors for him. Richard Dreyfuss was actually recommended by George Lucas that he said Ricky Dreyfuss from American Graffiti. Roy Scheider met Spielberg on a party and said, why can I do it? And yes, you can be Richie Brody. And then Lorraine Gary was basically a must, but she was a good actress. But she was the wife of the studio owner of Universal, so I think that was a little bit of a I have to. But they were just all great actors, all great actors, from Murray Hamilton to the smaller roles to Carl Gottlieb. He plays Meadows. The from the Gazette. Such a good movie. So again, movie link in the description. The attack scene, which, be advised, is really disturbing, and then also the alternate death scene of the guy in the estuary. And I also put a site where a picture is where the original Kitnerboy, if the shark would have worked, how he would die. You see the shark coming out of the water, just beside the raft and jumping down, but it was so fake looking. The shark wasn't fake looking. The shark was okay. If it's not CGI, the shark, but they used a mannequin for the Kitnerboy, and that was just so fake looking. But I'll put the links in the description so you can see for yourself. If you want to look the movie again, if you don't have the movie or you want to have a quick look at the movie, just click on the link, copy and paste it on YouTube or on Google, and that's it. So again, Jaws, the classic movie, the perfect movie in my opinion, a 10 out of 10. Almost a horror movie, horrific scenes, thriller, suspense, drama, but it gets a place in my horror reviews. So thank you for watching, and see you later. Adios.